What's up, fighting fans? Tips from the Fight IQ channel. Today we're coming back for another episode of the Fight IQ show, and we're gonna talk about last weekend. I'm gonna give you my top 3 of the fights I saw and tell you why they must be watched or rewatched. To make this ranking, I base my opinion on these criteria: the excitement, the duration of the fight, the opposition level, and the way to finish the fight. After that, I will also mention some other fights that were exciting. So let's get ready to rumble! So this weekend I watched the ACA 173 in Minsk on Friday 29th, the LFA 180 in Louisville on Friday 29th, the Valdez vs Wilson boxing card in Glendale on Friday 29th, Cage Warriors 169 in London on Saturday 30th, UFC Fight Night in Atlantic City on Saturday 30th, the Tszyu vs Fundora boxing card in Vegas on Saturday 30th, and also the Wardley vs Clarke boxing card in London on Sunday 31st. Number 3. Fabio Wardley vs Fraser Clarke. Main event of the boxing card with the same name. It was Sunday 31st in London, and it was for the British and Commonwealth heavyweight title. I completely forgot that event in my preview, but I'm really happy that I watched it. I didn't think it would be such a good fight, and I think I completely underestimated Clarke. But from the very first round, he played it smart. He was taking command of the fight with his jab, setting up his powerful right hand, and that completely messed with Wardley's game plan. He couldn't get close, couldn't get his rhythm going. So from the second round, he started with a different approach. He was storming at his opponent, placing some good combos. Still, Big Fraser had more success in this round, scoring the most significant strikes, destroying Wardley's nose and covering up nicely. He seemed to have the power advantage in that bout. Wardley was bringing the pressure in those early rounds, having more volume, but the accuracy and the damage were on Clarke's side. I have in mind those beautiful uppercuts from the right hand while stepping back, almost always reaching the target. But in round 5, Wardley found a breach. In the last minute of the round, he was drowning Clarke, forcing him to flee and knocking him down. That boosted Wardley's confidence, who dominated the next 3 rounds. He was more inspired in his combos, throwing a lot of body shots that were causing problems to Clarke. After that, the rhythm went a bit lower, even though both guys went toe to toe. It's hard to say who got those last rounds. Clarke doing his best to get back in the fight, and Wardley struggling with his smashed nose, who tried to keep his momentum going. The fight ended in a draw, which testifies of how tough those two fighters were and how close this fight was. I had Clarke winning on my card, but I can understand the draw. I think they should run it back. It was definitely a great fight, and it would be interesting to see who would make the better adjustments. Number 2, Romero vs Cruz. Co-main event of the Tszyu vs Fundora boxing card. It was in Vegas on Saturday 30th. And that was for the WBA World Super Lightweight title. This fight really delivered, and it was really what I had in mind when I did the preview. Pitbull attacked the fight really strong, aggressive as usual, cutting the ring for Romero, forcing him to have his back against the ropes, and throwing power shots after power shots. Rolly didn't seem prepared to counter that, and he got rocked in round 1 by Cruz, who was really close to send him to the canvas. And Romero had to make some adjustments, which he did. He was better at managing the distance, making Cruz miss more often, using his jab to set up some combos. Still not enough to be a problem for Pitbull, who kept marching forward, throwing heavy punches and catching Romero when he opened up. Rolly simply didn't have enough power to put Cruz out, and he was wore down by his opponents, who rocked him hard a second time in round 7. Romero survived the unstoppable flow of punches, but was only delaying the inevitable. In round 8, Pitbull closed in on his prey, unleashed all of his power, forcing the referee to wave off the fight, even though Rolly never took a knee. Congratulations to Cruz, finally becoming a champion after missing his opportunity in the weight class below. I can't wait to see his first title defense. I hope that Rolly is okay. He seemed destroyed mentally during the post-fight interview. I wish him a good recovery, and I hope to see him back 100%. And number 1, Team Tszyu vs Sebastian Fundora. Main event of the boxing card with the same name. It was in Vegas on Saturday 30th. and it was for the WBO and vacant WBC super welterweight titles. Best and bloodiest fight of the weekend, and it was really different from what I expected. Tszyu started the fight as usual, putting pressure, cutting the distance, and loaded some power shots that were reaching the target. To be honest, after the first 2 rounds, I was not giving Fundora much chance. He was taking a lot of damage and he could not set up his jab. But here comes the twist. At the end of round 2, Tszyu hit his head in Fundora's elbow, opening a huge cut on his head. That allowed Fundora to gain some momentum. With Tszyu's vision being compromised, blood was dripping in his eyes, he was less accurate. Fundora could then use his long reach and set up his jab, which he used more as a way to manage the distance and earn points than a real weapon to damage his opponent. But despite the blood flowing from his head, Tszyu didn't give up. He still managed to catch Fundora, breaking his nose and making him bleed from the mouth. Incredible bloodbath on that ring. I'm still surprised the fight wasn't stopped, even though it was a close fight, but Fundora was bit by bit winning the later rounds, scoring a lot with his jab. He threw more than 400 jabs in total, and despite his huge heart and iron will, Tszyu didn't succeed to do enough to keep his belt. The combination of Fundora doing his best performance, I never saw him using his reach advantage like this before, and Tszyu not being able to perform 100% made it too difficult for him. Congratulations to the new champ Fundora, who did his job perfectly. Still, I'd like a rematch with Tszyu before moving to the next opponent. Indeed, we saw that Errol Spence came into the ring to call out Fundora. It feels incomplete and I'd like to see them both perform at their best, but that was definitely one of the best boxing fights we got this year. It was a great weekend for boxing, high level fights in all the events. Valdez vs Wilson was great, the Mexican being able to reverse the fight and get the win via knockout. Estrada vs Valle, really close fight for the undisputed minimum title. Superbad got the win, being the most technical and faster fighter. Good performance also from Arislandi Lara, getting a beautiful KO in round 2 to become the new WBA middleweight champion. And last but not least regarding boxing, 3 high talented prospects confirmed their potential. Richard Torres Jr. getting an easy knockout in round 1. Kermel Moton, only 17 years old, getting his 3rd pro win by unanimous decision and displaying all of his skill set. And Ben Whittaker, the British sensation, getting another win via decision versus a tougher opponent. Check those fights if you want to see who will dominate in the future. Weekend was not so great for MMA, at least not as good as I expected it. Blanchfield vs Fioro went to the decision. Blanchfield never able to worry Manon Fioro, who didn't seem 100% after tough weight cut, but still winning on cruise control mode. Also some weird refereeing, lots of eye pokes, low blows, clearly a forgettable event. I would still highlight the good performance from Buckley, winning over Vicente Luque by TKO in the round 2. Ibo Aslan and Anton Turkal, they completely went at it, a complete slugfest, won by the Turkish fighter, knocking Turkal out in the round 3. Also good performances from Kyle Nelson and Nate Landwehr. The best MMA fight was at LFA, to be honest. Crazy main event between Lance Lawrence and Landry Ward. Lawrence winning via decision after dominating the fight. Great performances from Richie Miranda in the co-main, Victor Valenzuela, Joshua Pereira, and of course Chelsea Connor winning a strawweight comeback in a clean performance showing all the hard work she put in the gym. At Cage Warriors 169, I was a bit disappointed by Curry vs Aliu. Aliu decided to not continue the fight after a tough first round for him. I really would like to know what happened there. Vucenic delivered in the main event, completely dominating Simone Dana, submitting him with a Kimura in round 2. Impressive flyweight co-main too, between Kavanagh and Da Silva. It was really a fun fight to watch. So that's it regarding last weekend. If you enjoyed that video, please give a hard punch to those like and subscribe buttons, it helps me a lot. Go hit the comments, Discord, Telegram, Instagram, whatever you want, because I want your thoughts regarding the last bangers. I'll see you later this week.